What up, everybody? Welcome to Operation Moksha. As always, I'm your host, Chris Orozco, and today we're talking about imposter syndrome. This is a thing.
This thing doesn't want to show itself. It wants to hide inside an imitation. It'll fight if it has to, but it's vulnerable out in the open.
A lot of people deal with, especially if you are someone that is trying to reach for higher, loftier goals or something like that, whether it's a better job or becoming an entrepreneur, some kind of performer, artist, whatever the fuck it is. Imposter syndrome is something that a lot of people deal with, and there is a lot of bad advice about it. Most of the advice that I've seen on imposter syndrome is like, oh, this is just something that everybody deals with. You just gotta kind of go forward anyway, and like, you know, it's just a thing that happens, and just keep going, dude. And like, that's such bullshit advice. Every time I've ever coached somebody with imposter syndrome, they have it because they're being an imposter. Either what they're doing or how they see themselves is out of alignment with what they're attempting to do. When I was wanting to become a coach and I was wanting to become more successful, but my like traumatized identity was that of like a broke, stupid piece of shit. As I was trying to become this person that other people could lean on, my identity of being a broke, stupid, dumbass piece of shit was like, hey, you're not this thing you're presenting yourself as. You're this other thing that you've been telling yourself you are for your entire life. So something's wrong here. I felt like an imposter because what I was attempting to do was out of alignment with my identity. And so what I needed to do was deal with the identity, upgrade it, create an identity that was actually in alignment with what I was attempting to do. And if you want to learn how to do this, I just released a course specifically around identity creation that'll teach you how to craft and integrate whatever identity you need in order to serve what you're doing next. I would coach a lot of entrepreneurs, whatever, that would have imposter syndrome, and I would actually ask them, like, what's going on? Tell me why you feel like an imposter, blah, 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 blah. And one of the things that I heard a lot, because I would coach coaches, is they'd be like, oh, I don't know if I can, deliver on the promises that I'm making to my clients. Like, I don't know if I can actually do that. And then I'd be like, okay, well, that seems like a good thing to figure out. Can you actually make good on the promises you're making to your clients? And oddly enough, it's so insane to me, but like oddly enough, 9 times out of 10, the answer would be like, no, actually, I don't feel confident that I could do that. And it's like, okay, great. Then maybe don't make those promises. Like maybe make promises you can actually keep. Maybe become the person who can keep the promises before you start making them. Like what you are promising is not in alignment with what you can do. So you literally are being an imposter. And this is what happens. Either your identity, you're identifying as something that doesn't match up with what you're attempting to do, or you're attempting to do something that you can't actually do and some part of you knows it. And it's telling you like, hey, you're kind of out of alignment here, which is a beautiful thing to even have, right? Like there's this truth-telling detector in you that knows that if what you're doing is out of alignment on some level, it's gonna tell you, and it's gonna notify you, and it's gonna make it so it doesn't really feel very good. Because alignment is something that we crave as individuals. We want to be in alignment with the truth. We want to be in alignment with who we say we are. We want to match on all levels of reality because that's where harmony and integration and wholeness comes from, is when your whole body is aligned on every level of being. But when the level of action is out of integrity with the level of belief and being and identity, then there's a disharmony there, and your system doesn't like that. But when the level of action is out of integrity with the level of belief and being and identity, then there's a disharmony there, and your system doesn't like that. And so imposter syndrome is your system being like, yo, something's wrong. Either what you're doing or what you're identifying as isn't a match for this thing that you say you are. And so what you say you are and what you actually are don't match up. Your word and your actions don't match up. And so you won't have a clear conscience about it. Your mind will be like, yo, you're doing something wrong. And the way you actually have a clear conscience is by having your system clear on all levels, when who you say you are is actually who you are. And that's what's so important about this. So if you're feeling like you have imposter syndrome or anything like that, you really have to ask yourself, what specifically do I feel like an imposter about? Like if it's your work, it's like what element of your work makes you feel like an imposter? If you're in a relationship, because I also have clients that feel like imposters in their relationships. And this is something that happens to them, is that they'll be like, maybe they'll be a people pleaser. And they may actually really love the person that they're in a relationship with. However, their people pleasing tendencies can have them say that they want to hang out more than they want to hang out. Say that they want to talk on the phone more than they want to talk on the phone. Pretend that they like the person and are into the person more than they really are, even if they really do love them. But they'll just kind of like lean into the people pleasing thing. And people pleasing is inherently inauthentic. Because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be called that. It would be called being honest, and it's not. So people pleasing is when you put away your needs and your truth and your desires and all that sort of stuff to make sure that other people still like you and don't want to leave you and don't make you feel like a bad person and all that sort of stuff. And it is actually inherently dishonest. So if this is showing up in your relationships, you kind of have to ask yourself, am I actually being dishonest? And where am I being dishonest? Same with your work, same with your creativity, same with whatever you're doing. If you feel like an imposter, that is your system telling you that something is out of alignment. Either it's your actions, it's your identity, it's your approach, it's something about whatever element of your life you feel fake in that is actually fake. So anytime anyone's ever told you that this is something that everybody deals with, it's fucking not. I don't. I do not feel like an imposter up here. I do not feel like an imposter when I coach my clients. I do not feel like an imposter when I make my content because my identity matches up with my work. It used to feel that way, but I did the work to make sure that I actually identify as the guy who can sit here, teach you these things, feel good about it, know that what you're learning is valuable, and go home without having to second guess myself and be like, oh, am I actually that guy? Because I made sure that I crafted, created, and integrated the identity that matched it, and then I acted in a way that matched the identity, so there's congruency all the way down. And congruency is where peace comes from. Congruency is where confidence comes from. It's where you are able to just kind of radiate your own energy and attract the right people in the right circumstances, in the right environments, in the right everything. So you want that kind of internal alignment, but that kind of internal alignment can only come when you are aligned with the truth. And so if you're feeling like an imposter, you have to take that as a note and as a sign that somewhere in there, whether it's action or belief or whatever, that you are actually out of alignment with the truth. And you need to figure out specifically what element of it you're out of alignment with and why, and then follow the shadow integration framework that I've given in a bunch of different videos and in my course so that you can actually rectify that, become into alignment with what you're doing or who you believe you are, feel that peace and be able to move forward powerfully in a way you feel good about that you can sustain and scale. So this is really all I wanted to tell you about this. It's really important. So much bad advice about this that you really just don't need to be following because it's really kind of jarring when you think about how many people are just like doing something that's incongruent and they're like, oh, fuck it, do it anyway. Everyone feels like this. Like, no, you don't have to feel that way. You can feel completely confident and congruent with what you're doing. You can feel amazing about it and you deserve that. So if you don't have it, figure out why, deal with it, come into alignment with the truth, ask me any questions, let me know how I can help. I'm Chris Roscoe. I love you. I'll see you next time.